Today we're going to talk about real estate cash for keys, the pros and the cons. In this episode, we'll be talking about what is cash for keys. We'll also be talking about the 5 steps that you'll need to follow when you're instituting a cash for keys process. And we'll also want to talk about some mistakes you'll definitely want to avoid. Part of that solution will be to use the right agreements and fill them out correctly. And last but not least, how much cash do you offer for someone's keys? All that and more coming up right now. So the idea of cash for keys has been around for a long time. Doesn't mean that you've heard it, but if you haven't, you're in the right place. So cash for keys just simply means your tenant or your mortgage payer cannot pay any longer or doesn't want to pay anymore, or there's some kind of issue, and instead of going through the whole formal eviction or foreclosure process, we're simply going to offer them some money to be out by the end of next weekend or tomorrow or whatever day. It's a way of just wrapping it up, giving your tenants or your occupants a cash incentive to move along and free up the property so that you can get on with the business at hand. I really like the cash for keys strategy, and I have used it many times in my career. It's a way of shortcutting the legal process, all the time you have to wait. It's a way of not getting into a combative relationship with your occupants or your tenants. It just works out all the way good. When you give someone cash for keys, they have to perform a certain amount of tasks, or they have to handle themselves in a certain way to get that cash. That means they can't steal your ceiling fans on the way out. They can't take your washer and dryer. They don't kick holes in the walls or break the doors. They have to leave the house decent if they expect to get that cash. Now, the truth of the matter is, you were probably going to have to pay that much in holding costs, back taxes, insurance, and damages if you didn't pay them. The problem that people have with cash for keys is emotionally. Here's these people, they're not honoring their agreement with you, and now you're going to pay them? Doesn't make sense on the surface, and really it's all wrong. They're being rewarded for bad behavior. But if you look at it strictly through a fiscal set of glasses, and you do it by dollars and cents, you actually save money to pay them $1,000 now or $1,200 now than to wait through a 3-month foreclosure process that costs you 3 months worth of rent and a bunch of wear and tear on your house by people that are aggravated with you or don't like you now because you're applying pressure to them to pay or to get out. The damages alone could be worth $1,000 in a split second. Anything. Kicking a couple of holes in the wall, stopping up the toilets, breaking the ceiling fans or stealing the ceiling fans, stealing your appliances, breaking your appliances, taking the light fixtures. Heaven forbid they steal all the copper out of your house on the way out. I'm saying sometimes $1,000 or $1,500 to get possession of your house in the next couple of days is money well spent. So let's talk about the 5 steps. There's 5 basic steps. Not really complicated, but we need to review them so we're all on the same page. Number 1, you need to meet with them. And when you meet with them in a compassionate way. Don't go there with a chip on your shoulder or aggravated with them, because it's just not going to work. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to make friends. We're trying to get in a position where we can actually talk and have a viable conversation and start to rationalize why them taking a little money now is much better than waiting for down the road and to get an eviction and all that. Okay? And to do that, you got to come. How can I help? What's going on? Is there any light at the end of this tunnel? I have to get paid my monthly mortgage payment because I have a payment too that I have to make. And it just makes sense. But if there was any way I could help you, I would. But if you're not going to be able to replace that job, or there's no light at the end of the tunnel, maybe we can work something out so I can give you some money right now so you can get to where you're going, so that you can give me the keys right now. And all I ask is that you leave the house in its current condition and broom sweep it on your way out. Also, I might ask that you do this in a reasonable length of time, like by the end of this weekend. If you can do it by the end of this weekend, I'm willing to pay you X. You can also go on to explain that if they handle themselves in such a manner and they do accept cash for keys and they move along peacefully and quietly and on time, that you won't report to their credit and that you'll make it easy for them when they want to move into another property. You'll be a decent reference for them. There's all kinds of ways that you can persuade them, but you've got to go in with compassion and low key and with a soft tone and in a willingness to get something done that makes sense for both people. So step 2 really amounts to listening, being compassionate, understanding, and then coming up with this solution of how you're going to give them cash for the keys and actually landing on a price probably. Step 3, as always, you want to get things in writing, just so there's no misunderstanding. It's not like you could really enforce it. You're supposed to be out on Monday, but you're not out till Tuesday. What are you going to do about it? But it's so that no one misunderstands. It's kind of a way of holding each other's feet to the fire. It might also make your occupant feel better that it's in writing, that you're actually saying that you're going to give them this amount of money, because they got their fears too, right? They think they're going to move out and that you're not going to give them the money. One thing you don't ever want to do is give any money in advance. Don't give any money until every single thing is out of that house and that the house has been broom swept as requested. Now, while we're on this topic, I want to point out a failure point that has affected many a person, but you probably won't catch it until it happens to you. And so I'm trying to explain this to you now so it won't happen to you. Sometimes people don't have the money to move. And it costs money to move if these houses have any size and they have any contents at all. The natural thing to say is, I'll pay for the move, or I'll have my people come by, or I'll pay for a moving truck. No, 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 no. You never get involved in the physical movement of anyone's property from anywhere to anywhere. Because the first thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a Rolex watch missing and your people are going to be the one accused of stealing it. Okay? You don't touch anyone's stuff ever. If they don't have the money to move, you tell them to call a moving company, find how much it is, and you agree to write a check to them that they can give to the moving company. Never get directly involved in moving anyone's stuff. Chances are, if you do it often enough, you will be accused of theft sooner or later. Now, while we're on the subject of writing checks to your occupants to solve their problems, let me point out this. Anytime you write a check to an occupant, it's a chance to get another waiver of responsibility on your side. No matter if the check's for $50 or $450, we always put a stamp on the back of that check. It looks just like the stamp that your insurance company puts on the back of the check when they pay you for that auto accident and the damages to your car. The insurance company gives you that check to pay for the damages, and on the back of that check is a statement that says, if you hammer that check, all claims about this situation are null and void. It's over. It's settled. There are no more claims can come from you. And so every time I write a check to a tenant for one of their problems that's really not my responsibility, I always put that statement on the back of that check, and then I go even further. I have a piece of paper typed out with that same statement that's on the back of the check on a piece of paper in 12 or 14 or 15 size font that says, if you cash that check, any claims and all claims against me or my associates or my heirs or anybody is null and void. There is no more claims regarding this property. That was just a little extra added tidbit there. If you're going to write a check to somebody, make sure you get something for it. I want to get a waiver. Another statement saying, I'm released and being held harmless after you cash that check. Number 4, be there on moving day. You need to be there for 2 reasons. You need to see that they fulfilled their side of the agreement, that the house doesn't have an extraordinary amount of damage, that it is broom swept, and that everything is out of the house, including the trash. Trash is expensive, and it ought to be addressed in your conversation when you're striking this deal with them for cash for keys. We're going to negotiate that they're going to have their stuff out, but we're also going to make it very clear in one of those points in writing that we talked about that they will leave no trash at your house. Because if you don't put that in there, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have $200 or $300 worth of trash in your backyard or in your garage. Believe me, trash is expensive. It takes time and it costs money. Don't let people saddle you with their trash. Now, before I get to the fifth point, I would like to encourage you to go over there to the like button and the share button. Please like and share. Let everyone know we're out there. Let them know we're doing a good job by hitting that like button. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because I know a lot of things about a lot of things. And some of them you're just not going to know. So you don't know what you don't know, and I'm going to help you with that. Hit that subscribe button. We'll all be a lot smarter by the end of the year. So the last step, step 5 in the cash for keys process, is actually paying up. So you want to pay up. You want to give them their money once everything's out, once they're on the way, but you're not done when you pay them the money. You need to take possession. So get the keys back from them or whatever, but never assume that they've given you all the keys. What you do after you pay them is you change the locks and you take possession. That's the final step. And there you have it, the 5 steps to the cash for keys process. When we're talking about what amount should we offer for the keys, a lot of things go into factoring that number. First and foremost, you're here to better your position by doing this. If it's not going to better your position, then let's not do it. So there's a lot of questions. If you don't give them cash for keys and they drag on through the process, whether it be an eviction or a foreclosure, how long will that take? How much is the rent that you're supposed to collect or could be collecting? How much is that every month? Because we need to start coming up with numbers. If it takes 8 months to do a foreclosure and you're supposed to collect $1,000 a month from the renter or the payee, then that's $8,000 that you're going to be out by the time you finally get them out of the property. So the goal is to negotiate way less than $8,000. If we can get them out with a $1,000 check, woohoo, you just saved $7,000 in 8 months worth of time. If that takes $2,000 to get them out, you're still good. If it takes $3,000 or $4,000, you're still to the better. Now, I'm not suggesting you just run up with the most you want to pay. You always start with the least. Start with $1,000, $500, whatever, and work your way up to a price where they say yes. And as long as you're coming out ahead, then the cash for keys process is working for you. Sometimes this process is too emotional for some owners, and I understand it. Way into my career, I've been lied to, spit on, kicked, and done so wrong by so many people that my patience is about that thin. In these cases, if you're like me, if you're one of me, if you're one of those people, then you have to get someone in between you and the occupant to negotiate this deal. I can't negotiate these deals anymore for me because I just as soon hit them in the head with a baseball bat than give them my cash. But that doesn't work out financially for me very good. Probably not legally either. So I need to remove myself out of that situation, and I'll put someone who's level-headed, hasn't been drugged through the mud near as much as me, and has the patience with these people to talk to them. This is probably the biggest hint in this whole episode. If you're not the kind of person that can handle this kind of situation, stay out of this situation because you'll just make it worse. Find someone who's a good negotiator, full of compassion, and because it's not their money and not their house, you send them over there and they have no problem being jovial with these people and they can negotiate a great deal. All you have to do is tell them the parameters. And if you're a good negotiator and a good trainer, you will tell your negotiator that the better they do and the more money they save you, the better you're going to compensate them for this particular negotiation. If you don't give a negotiator an incentive to get the best price for you, they'll just automatically go to your highest offer and say, well, I did a good job. You said you'd go up to $4,000. I got them at $4,000. You say, no, I'll pay you $250 if you get them at $4,000. I'll pay you $350 if you get them at $3,000. I'll pay you $450 if you get them at $2,000. And I'll pay you $600 if you get them at $1,000. Now your negotiating friend is going in and negotiating for themselves, and in the process, making you a bigger winner with every success. That concludes our segment on cash for keys. Please put it in your tool belt and use it. It's a great, effective tool. And now I have a free gift for you that you're really going to like if you like this episode, because it's a free template of a cash for keys agreement. All you have to do is go to 1000houses.com/keys, Keys, and you can download it, and there you go. As always, these documents are samples. You need to run them by your own attorney and seek your own legal advice, but these are the kind of documents I've been using forever, for better or for worse. But have your counsel look them over, and once your counsel approves, go after it.